Good morning. It's dinner prepping time at the Adobe Ring Ranch. I can't help it. I'm a morning person. So I figured this morning I would get started on dinner so that I can get as much pre-cooked as possible, because usually when I get outside, I want to stay outside as long as possible. And when I come inside, the last thing I want to do is to create a meal, working with the stove, heating up the house. So I try to get as much prepped in the morning, since the sun here doesn't come up until probably close to 7:30 in the morning, and there's not much I can do outside until the sun comes up. So I'm going to show you what I have planned for today's dinner. All right, so I'm thinking about some pork chops tonight. I have the bone in this one. In the past, I always thought that buying pork chops with the bone in was not cost effective, because I'm paying for pork chops by the pound, and I'm paying for the bone that I'm not eating. However, I have discovered in the last couple of years that the taste of pork chops with the bone in are superior to pork chops boneless. So that's just my take on the pork chops. I do have some green beans, frozen green beans, left over in the freezer, so I'm going to be whipping up a garlic green bean side. And I don't know about you, but I do love my roasted potatoes in an air fryer. I'm not sure if you guys have an air fryer. I love my air fryer. I've actually even cooked the pork chops in the air fryer, and they come out just as good as on the barbecue. So needless to say, this is what's on the menu for today. So I will be getting chopping and slicing and what have you, and I'll take you along for the meal prep. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to take care of is going to be my pork chops. I do like to season my pork chops with this Montreal steak seasoning. Yes, I know it says steak, but this is really good on pork chops. So all I'm going to do is sprinkle this seasoning on both sides of the pork chop. And what I'm going to do is rewrap the pork chop in some of the saran wrap I have here, and pop this back into the refrigerator so that the seasoning can just hang out with the meat until I'm ready to cook that later on tonight. All right, so next up, we're going to be dealing with the potatoes. I do like the red potatoes in the air fryer. I think they have a great taste. But in the refrigerator, I have these little white baby potatoes that I had picked up on sale at the grocery store. So I'm going to do a little mix of the red and the white as well. How many potatoes am I using? I really can't tell you that. I know just by sight how many Clint will eat and how many I will eat after dicing them up. But towards the end of getting these all washed up and getting ready for prep time, I only had a few left in the bag, and I wasn't going to just leave them in the refrigerator. I figured I might as well cook them all up, and then whatever I have left over, I will be putting in the refrigerator for another meal. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to dice up, or I shouldn't say dice, I'm going to cube up these potatoes. And once I have them all done, I will show you what I'm going to season them with. Okay, so the potatoes are all chopped up. Doesn't really matter about the size or the shape, but the most important thing is that your size is similar or consistent, because you want even cooking time. You don't want some potatoes raw and some potatoes cooked. So just try to cut these little cubes into the same size. As far as what I'm going to use to season them, I will drizzle some olive oil over the potatoes. I'm going to use some of our our own dried rosemary, probably like a quarter of a teaspoon. You don't want to overdo it with the rosemary. I've got some of our own dried thyme as well. That can be about a half teaspoon. A couple of grinds of black pepper. I'm going to use some garlic powder, some onion powder, maybe a teaspoon of each. And I'm going to be adding some salt with potatoes. It usually uses a little bit more salt than I like to, but for taste purposes, let's say a teaspoon and a half to 2 teaspoons of salt to season the potatoes. So I'm going to drizzle all that in and stir that all up, and I will be putting it in the air fryer in a moment. Okay, so the potatoes are all chopped up, all seasoned, olive oil's in there. Just a quick note, if you're not a fan of thyme or rosemary, you can omit those and use your salt, pepper, olive oil, and try some dill. Again, don't overdo it, but dill and potatoes go together fairly well. Okay, moving over to the air fryer, I'm just going to be dumping my potatoes into the air fryer. I am not going to be spraying the bottom of the pan with any kind of cooking spray because I think there's more than enough olive oil on the potatoes to keep them from sticking. So now they're in. I'm going to put them into the air fryer. And what I will do is give this a maybe 375 temp. And we'll do 15 minutes for now. About at the 7-minute mark, we're going to stir the potatoes and let it continue for another 7 minutes. And then I will take out a potato, taste it for doneness, and I may have to go another 5 to 6 minutes after that. So for right now, we're going for 375 at 15 minutes. Okay, so we're just about past that 7-minute mark. I'm going to put this on pause. I'm going to open up the air fryer. I'm going to stir around these potatoes real quick and continue the cooking. Okay, so while the potatoes are cooking, I'm going to get going on the green beans. I have about a 50-50 on butter and olive oil that I'll be heating up in the pan. I've got my green beans ready to go. I've got just a couple of cloves of garlic. To me, a couple would be 9, 10. I'd also be willing to bathe in garlic if I could get away with it. The only other ingredients I'll be using in this side dish will be some salt, and in this I will use the red pepper flakes rather than black pepper. So I will get the butter and oil warmed up, and then I will dice and chop up the garlic cloves into smaller pieces, and I will lightly brown those, add the green beans to the pan, and then season with some salt and the red pepper flakes. Okay, so the potatoes have beeped, and I just put it on for another 5 minutes. In the meantime, my garlic is in and it's lightly browned. I also tossed in the red pepper flakes just to get that going into the butter and oil mix. Now I'm going to be adding the green beans. If you're using frozen peas, just be careful because any moisture in the green beans will probably splatter once it hits the butter and the garlic. So just be advised. And what we're going to do is just mix this together, get all that garlic going, get it coated with the butter and the olive oil. Once this cooks down a little bit, I'll be adding probably about a half teaspoon of salt. And once it's thoroughly cooked, it'll be ready to go for tonight's dinner. I'll just wrap it up, pop it in the refrigerator, and that way I can just reheat it later on as we get closer to dinner time. So let's wait on those potatoes and we should be all set. Well, the green beans are all done. This kitchen smells so good with that garlic smell. The green beans also taste very good too. Of course, I had to sample it to make sure it was seasoned properly. Meanwhile, the potatoes were done in the air fryer. I did do the initial 375, 15 minutes, and I added another 8-9 minutes at the same temperature. You could probably bump up the temperature to 400, 425 and maybe cook them less time. But I would highly advise, if you do the higher temperature, just make sure you stir the potatoes more frequently so that the bottom doesn't cook over the top portions of these potatoes. As you can see, the potatoes do come out nice and crispy on the outside, and I assure you the insides are nice and soft and tender. So we've got the pork chops in the refrigerator, and they have their seasoning and just chilling out in the refrigerator until I'm ready to decide if they're going in the air fryer themselves or if they're going to be placed on the grill. That is yet to be determined. I'll see how my day goes. And our two sides, which is probably going to be a double batch, so I may be able to use both of these for another meal throughout the week. So my morning is underway. It's not even 9 a.m. yet, and I've already got dinner 3/4 of the way complete. That's a wrap for today. I hope everyone has a wonderful day and a wonderful week, and please stay tuned for more upcoming recipes. In case you were wondering what I decided on the pork chops from earlier this morning, I decided to grill them. I got the grill started, and since I had the grill going, I also took out a pork tenderloin that's been marinated in a garlic sauce. So I figured this will be for tonight's dinner, this will be for tomorrow night. Hate to waste the propane, hate to waste my time, so I like to cook as many things at one time as possible. So there's your update on what I decided to do with the pork chops. Have a good one.